At the center of the disagreement that led to the budget speech being postponed is a 2 percentage point VAT increase and how government priorities would be funded. The move would have pushed the value-added tax to 17%. The budget documents compiled by the National Treasury stated that the tax policy proposals were designed to raise 58 billion rand in additional revenue for the 2025-26 financial year, with the largest increase being from the proposed VAT increase. There was a planned above-inflation increase in excise duties on alcohol and tobacco products. And the bottom two personal income tax brackets were going to be adjusted fully to compensate for the effects of inflation, while the remaining brackets would be partially adjusted. But all this was not to be, as National Assembly Speaker Tokodi Diza announced a last-minute decision to postpone the budget speech to allow for more engagement in Cabinet.
While today we've been gathered here to actually have the Minister of Finance presenting the budget to this august House, that there has not been agreement in terms of parties in the executive to actually find one another in proposals of the budget. And the executive therefore decided, as some of you already know, and as your whips have said in our discussion, some things that have already been on the media about where there are possible increases and where different parties, as well as members of the communities' perspective on those proposed increases were saying. And Cabinet therefore decided not to come and do a presentation of the budget.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says decisions need to be taken on how government priorities will be funded.
You can't have the 2% alone without talking about what's going to replace it, and that does not become contentious. What I'm trying to say, what we are grappling with, is not necessarily the 2% per se. What we are grappling with, given the challenges and priorities that we are facing, how do we fund them? Really, that's a debate. Do we borrow more? What are the implications of that? Do we continue cutting expenditure? What are the implications of that? Do we raise tax? What are the implications of that? There's general agreement that in the current environment, we need to find a way of funding our priorities. The debate is what is the best way of doing it?
Democratic Alliance leader John Steenhuisen, a partner in the Government of National Unity, says the decision to postpone the budget speech was a responsible one.
A pro-growth budget doesn't hurt the poorest of the poor. A pro-growth budget doesn't increase the burden on the middle class. A pro-growth budget looks at those key elements that are required and reforms that are required to get the economy moving forward in a more bold way.
President Cyril Ramaphosa moved to assure the nation that the postponement of the budget speech was not a crisis.
We've been through a number of other near crises that threatened the existence of the Government of National Unity. This is not one of those that will threaten the existence of the Government of National Unity. It is a hiccup that we are going to get over. And we've already set a date for the presentation of the budget on the 12th of March.
According to the budget review compiled by the National Treasury, increasing spending pressures necessitated the tax increases to raise revenue amidst the low growth environment in an uncertain global landscape. The document says the postponed budget sought to prioritize infrastructure investment to boost economic growth, cushioning the poor from the high cost of living and stabilizing public finances. Gloria Sefakomosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.